I'm the strongest or fastest or smartest person out there. I don't have that genius level competency like some famous people. But by making one big decision, I've exhibited a trait that many, including myself, find the most valuable. I'm a junior this year in a new high school, and while some might say that moving in the middle of your high school career is a terrible choice, I say my decision to move schools was a godsend. I struggled greatly in my old school with academics, my social life, etc., etc. To put it bluntly, I think I had a full mental breakdown about once a week. Obviously, something had to change. So I moved. I met new friends who are all wonderfully crazy, and I only worry about my grades once or twice a week whenever I have a calculus test, compared to my previous twice-a-day mini panic attack session. And I thank myself every day for making this decision, for being adaptable, because it has made my life and will make your life so much better. Now, humans are known for their adaptability, right? We thrive in all different kinds of environments, and our ability to think fast helps us continue in strange new habitats to have a population of over 8 billion. We have our physical traits that contribute to this, like our ability to sweat, our digestive tract, and of course, our opposable thumbs for making tools. But our cognitive adaptations, well, they're unmatched. We have the ability to understand complex information, use that information to perform tasks, and even teach that information to our young in a way that no other animal can. In fact, we love adapting so much that, according to Neurolaunch, our genetics have been prioritizing survival and reproduction in different environments since forever. The point that I'm trying to get at is that change is literally the reason humans are so successful in life. If I had stayed at my old school with my old friends, I probably would have lived an unoptimized life. I would have been stuck in classes that I couldn't get help in, and I never would have had the chance to do so many new interesting things like being a camp counselor or writing a TED Talk. So I'm glad I took the leap and moved, and I'm especially glad I decided to adapt to a new extracurricular, my new school's robotics team. Junior year has been interesting, to say the least. And just to preface this, I have zero interest in any subtopics like coding, CADing, engineering, all of which are super important to building a functioning robot. Knowing this, I still chose to join said robotics team, really in an attempt to bond with my new friends. A lot of them are currently on the robotics team, so they are the initial reason I was encouraged to join. I figured, I'd just sit in a few meetings, just for something to do. But as I went to more, I sort of got annoyed with the lack of progress. A lot of the new members didn't have a lot of guidance, and as a result, were falling into inactivity. They didn't want to adapt and learn new skills necessary in order to build a competitive level robot in the next month. The risk of sounding like my parents, I truly do believe in trying new things. Their inflexibility just didn't sit right with me, especially as someone who had just gone through such a huge change. So reluctantly, very reluctantly, I started asking questions and participating and learning things I wasn't
especially as someone who had just gone through such a huge change.
I adapted, and I genuinely tried. And it was fun. Our team did so well, and it felt amazing being an active reason why we did. Let me tell you, there is nothing more satisfying than doing well in a subject you know you're terrible in, like calculus. So my one big decision of moving schools led to me finding a new interest, turning that interest into something amazing, and of course, finding a new friend group. And even if my team didn't win this year, change and adaptability has given me the drive to succeed next year. I've never been more motivated in my life. I'm sure you guys can tell by now, but this speech is really just a huge love letter to the quality of being adaptable. But this love letter doesn't negate the fact that change is scary. And of course, not all change is good. Too much adaptability can be dangerous. I'll give the example of moving schools again. Moving once to better your opportunity is one thing. But there are students out there who have to move once every few months, or maybe even more. This is objectively not a good thing. These students often find themselves falling behind academically, and they struggle to form social connections. I know a lot about this because my family and I researched thoroughly when we were deciding on whether or not I should move. While I embrace the quality of being adaptable, there's still that lingering thought of staying strong. A willow bends with the wind, but it still has the dexterity to remain upright. There's also that lingering fear that change means starting all over again or falling behind. If you switch majors, it might mean having to take double the classes just to catch up. If you move, it might mean having to learn new street names or finding new good places to eat, which is really hard. And if you find a new job, let's say, you might have to start from the bottom all over again, even if you held a senior position at your old job. And that might all be true. You might suddenly have to deal with a much steeper learning curve than anyone ever wants. But these issues are all short term. I would have failed to see the benefits of switching majors, of moving, of finding a new job, because I never looked at the big picture. I was so afraid of moving. I didn't want to abandon my old friends, my old teachers, and I didn't want to deal with new students who didn't like me, or new teachers that ignored me. I didn't want to go from one boiling pot to another. But finding a new major might mean not having to slog through uninteresting jobs for the rest of your life. Finding new housing might mean better education, better job opportunities, better housing, or maybe all three. Finding a new job might mean you don't have to deal with your abusive boss all day, or maybe it means you can expand your resume. I moved, and it was the best decision of my life. I have never been less stressed, and I'm smelling the roses, and I don't have to deal with sitting in my room and studying chemistry all day. I'm talking about active change. Now, it's not really a term you can Google. It is just something I came up with after watching a bunch of motivational speeches while preparing for this, but I do think it's important to know. To me, active change means evaluating where you are right now, determining whether things are going good or not, and realizing that if you want things to go better, you might want to switch things up. I could do a self-evaluation and see that nothing really needs changing. But the act of self-evaluation helps prepare for acceptance. So even if you are scared, even if you're not sure if cutting your hair or moving or changing classes or dumping your boyfriend is really actually beneficial to your life, isn't it a disservice to yourself to not try? Because it's in our genetics to adapt. So you can survive with that sad, boring bob. You can live. But a pixie cut reinvents you. It invigorates you. It makes you happy. So go out, adapt, secure your happiness, and get that pixie cut.